Welcome to Sakrete Pro Tips, the 3 C's of surface preparation. There's an old adage in concrete repair: surface preparation is 98% of the battle. You neglect it and your repair is going to fail. The 3 C's are clean the surface, check the surface, condition the surface. Now let's run back through that list and examine each in detail. The first is to clean the surface. By cleaning the surface, I'm not saying, hey, it's the spring clean and I just want to get some stains off and it looks nice and I'm going to seal it and that's it. No, this is cleaning in preparation for concrete repair. So we've got to break out the pressure washer and we're going to make sure we blast anything that might be sticking to that surface off. Once we get through cleaning, the observations from the cleaning is where we roll into what we're doing with checking the surface. In checking the surface, there's mainly 2 categories. One is the absorption. Is water beading somewhere? If it is, that's a bond breaker. I need to investigate what's going on there. And if I can't clean it with some kind of detergent and get that off where water absorbs, then I've got a stain that could be oil or tree sap. Something is a bond breaker. It's not allowing penetration. Therefore, the concrete repair won't stick. On the other side of the coin is going to be, well, did I witness things blowing off the surface? I need to go look at pitted surfaces like the center of this slab to investigate if there's a delamination problem. And that's what that pressure washer knocked off for me. If it is, I need to tap that area with a hammer or drag a chain and listen for a solid sound will ring back at you. And if it's a hollow space underneath, it's actually going to thud or scrape. Stop at that point and further investigate. Drill down, find out what's wrong with that slab before you go any further. When you get all this done, you may have to do some surface profiling before you get to the last step. And that simply means the roughing up of a surface to make it better grab. Surface conditioning falls into 3 distinct methods. Now, I'm saying this because we don't do 2 of the 3. Pick one and stay with it. So the types are SSD, saturated surface dry. The second level is slurry coating the surface. And then the third level is to prime the surface. Now, we can't wet it first like SSD and then try to prime, because anything we do in between can interfere with the conditioning we're trying to do ultimately. So now let's review what are the 3 types. SSD, saturated surface dry. It simply means to soak the slab. You're going to soak it, you're going to let it absorb that water, and then we're going to come back. So the first band here I have soaked thoroughly. And so then I'm going to come back before my repair and wet it again. And that's been brought to SSD, meaning the water is not contributing to the mix nor drawing moisture from the mix, because either way will act as a bond breaker. So we're wanting a neutral state. This is the easiest way to condition a surface, but it's the minimal step you can do. The second phase we call slurry coat. So slurry coating is when we use a material that we're going to repair with as its own bonding agent. So here I'm using Sakrete Top and Bond. I've already pre-measured a little bit of water in a pail. I've got to put on a mask for dust. I'm going to put it in here and stir it. So a slurry coat is a loose consistency where we're making it like a loose grout or paint. And we're simply going to apply the slurry onto what we're going to repair. So I'm working it into the chipped area. Now you notice I'm using my brush to really work the fines down into the pores. We're trying to clog the pores to prevent off-gassing. That's part of the process of surface conditioning. We can put some over here. Now, the thing about the hard trowel surface, you notice that, yeah, I'm painting it on, but is it really sticking? When I see that and how we've got, it's just basically a pattern laying on top, that's going to need to have more work done. You're going to need to grind that surface to let it accept the slurry coat. Over here we've got a broom surface. You see, I don't have to work it as hard into the surface. It's much more readily going into the broomed open surfaces. And that is a slurry coat. Let this dry somewhere up to a half an hour. But the thing is, we don't want to see water still standing on the surface before we begin the concrete repair. The best option for surface conditioning is to prime the surface. In that case, we're simply going to take a bonding agent. Now, if it's a standard bonding agent, you're going to use it straight out of the bottle. Just 100% painted on the surface. But in this case, we're using Sakrete's new Bond Strength Primer. This is a best-in-class primer. It's a concentrate. Most bonding agents go on milk white and then they dry clear. This material, you're going to notice, has a yellow tint to it. Now, because this one's so strong, I am going to cut it 1:1. To apply primer, all you do is either use a roller for a large surface or a paintbrush. Now, the thing is, you do not want puddles. You got to work the material and spread it thin to get rid of the puddles. Puddles are a bond breaker. The second thing is, as we talked about in the slurry coat, I'm on the hard trowel side, and you see that it's just almost like it's bubbles on top. It's because it can't penetrate. So once again, that's going to need to be mechanically abraded to make the primer stick and then begin with the concrete repair. On the far side, I've got a broom surface, and it readily accepts the primer, absorbs it really good. So I've got an even absorption here with broom, but when I have my other areas where it's chipped up, just be aware those are little puddles that need to be watched. So when you're priming, once again, we're looking at the absorption rate. If it goes really fast, it's okay. If it's sucking in, it simply means, hey, it's doing its job, it's going deep. But it also means that it's going deep to clog those pores, and you're going to need to put a second coat on. That's all that means. If we watch it and it takes about 30 minutes to dry, perfect. It's time to start the concrete repair. So one sign of it's time to begin is when we have it tacky dry. So I don't want to see any of the material in the deeper spots still be wet, but then it's dry enough to where it's still tacky to the touch. Now, it's good for the day, but here's the thing. If we prime the surface and we wait overnight, do understand that you do have to reprime the next morning. It doesn't just keep lasting. The priming the surface, one of the beauties is that you don't have to get on there in that window. It does give you a freedom of spending extra time before you get there. But do reapply if overnight. So priming by far is the easiest method, but remember it does have a higher cost because you're actually buying the extra material. Now let's review the 3 C's of surface preparation. Clean the surface, check the surface, and condition the surface. Once all that's complete, you're ready to repair.